as long as bond rates are high, you can expect people to just keep on putting money in fixed income, which will suck out liquidity in the markets. And that's why, as of this recording also, if you noticed it, the Philippines hasn't really recovered, hasn't really gone up as well from where it was at its all-time high last 2018. Before we continue with the video, I'd like to invite everyone to Investment Conference 2023. This is an event that we co-founded about 10 years ago with the goal to educate people about investing and different investments that are out there. We have a lot of speakers from Randall Chongson, Rex Mendoza, David Lichu, Alvin Ang. But what's interesting for this year also, since I've been pushing and I've been a very big advocate of Web3 cryptocurrencies and NFTs, we're adding crypto into the mix. If you want to venture into crypto and NFTs, check out the link down below. It's happening May 27, 2023 at Samsung Hall. We're gonna have 1,000 people, 1,000 investors joining us. So I hope to see you there. See the links below, and back to the video. Hey guys, so in this video, let's talk about the Philippine Stock Exchange Index. Where is the Philippines headed right now from a technical analysis perspective and from a broad sense of the market? Please do note, by the time of this recording, we have been somewhat 3+ years already from the lockdowns, which brought the market very low. Please do remember also that the highest that the Philippine market has hit was around 8,900 somewhere around January 2018, and then we've suffered very large drop somewhere around March 2020 when the lockdowns were in full stride. Now, what we're seeing right now is, as you all know, the World Health Organization downgraded COVID. It's no longer a global pandemic. And that being said, also, we're seeing travel start to continue. People have been going out. People have been eating out. There's a lot of mass events already going on, which was not the case 2 years ago, a year after the lockdowns actually started. So we're almost back to normal, or you could even argue that a lot of the tourist destinations or even airlines are relatively back to normal already. We're living now in a world where it's post-COVID. However, please do note that there's still a lot of issues that's lingering, even though we have been 3 years detached from the lockdowns. The Ukraine war is still ongoing, which highly affects oil prices, and then there's a lot of things also going on between China, India, Brazil, and also Saudi going into the mix, trying to detach themselves from the dollar. So there's a lot of things going on in the macro, and it hasn't still underpinned all of the issues about inflation. Inflation is still relatively high, although slower already as compared to where we were at some points last year, but it's still at a very high point. And that being said, by the time of this recording, we just saw the US Fed also raise rates again. Please do note that every time they raise rate, it becomes more attractive for people to just put money in fixed income into bonds because they will get a higher rate of return. And as the US goes, so as rates here in the Philippines would go as well. As long as bond rates are high, you can expect people to just keep on putting money in fixed income, which will suck out liquidity in the markets. And that's why, as of this recording also, if you noticed it, the Philippines hasn't really recovered, hasn't really gone up as well from where it was at its all-time high last 2018. Even though the economy is starting to get better, we still have not gone up yet. And what's interesting also is that if you look at iterations of how the performance of the indexes, we're now at May 8, 2023. If you look at the performance, it's relatively flat, or in some periods slightly down as well. Allow me to show everything to you also from a technical analysis perspective, so that we get a sense of how it looks in terms of direction. Please do remember this also, that every time I talk about technical analysis, it's not a matter of prediction or forecast. It's merely a matter of looking at past prices in conjunction also to volume, and to let you know where the direction is. We can't predict how prices will be on a day-to-day basis because it's purely supply and demand, it's purely news driven, but we can see how it is from a directional standpoint. Where is it actually pushing, where it's actually headed? For those who want to know more about technical analysis, I have webinars down below, and I also have books that I've written to further educate you on how it actually is. But with this video alone, I hope that it gives you also a sense, even if you don't use technical analysis yet, that it's a reliable tool for you to be able to analyze and use this for your advantage, for you to be able to do better in the market. So let's start with this. First, I'm going to zoom out to at least show you how it looks like. So if you notice it, this is how the PSEI looks from over a 3+ year horizon, and if you notice it, it's still sideways. When I mentioned also that we have not gone back up from its all-time high of 8,900 to around 9,000, we're very far from that. You can see right here, the largest point is at 7,505, which was the highs from the first quarter of 2022, and even that particular line we have not gone back up that particular range. So if you're gonna peg this from a support and resistance perspective, you have your main support somewhere around 6,153. You can also put one here somewhere around 5,7, which is the lowest point that it has gone through or it has moved over the past few months. But 5,7 as initial support, but we're way past that already. And the main sideways support level is around 6,153 support with a 7,505 resistance. How do you know that our resistance is very, very strong? You just have to look at it from a level of how many times has it had the chance to be able to attack it, but because there's a level of selling, you see the markets go down. So we saw that happen here. This was at the start of 2020, then you saw it happen here. This was also nearing the end of 2020, close to 2021, then it happened here. Also, somewhere around the end of 2021, then it happened here again at the start of 2022, and after that, we have never seen it challenge the 7,505 level. So if you want the market to go higher, if you want the market to get out of this sideways trajectory, it must break out of the 7,500 range. And that being said also, what's interesting though is that you have the 6,153 level of support holding its ground. We've seen it hold its ground over and over and over again, which is solidifying whatever rationale that we have that this market is currently sideways. 6,153, 7,505 resistance. Now, that being said, for those who at least want to just trade this market, then you can reference this particular area also. You can make some judgment calls at this point in time that if it continues to push forward, it still has an 11.7% upside, and if you see it also downward from a risk standpoint, it has a negative 8% or an 8% downward trajectory should selling actually happen. The distance from the price of this recording, or at least from the chart, the next possible support. Now, if there are some bullish parameters to look at, you have the moving averages. I'm using 20, 50, 100, and 200, and by the time of this recording, you have it above the stronger ones, which is the 200-day moving average. I always look at it as a level of reversal. Every time you see it above the 200-day moving average, you see a longer sentiment shift from bearish to bullish. But it's not just that, you have shorter term moving averages going with it, the 20-day moving average and also the 50-day moving average coinciding also and is above the current movement of the index as well. Now, if you zoom in further also, you'll see the 100-day moving average, which is trying to act as a level of resistance. But here's what I see. If it fails to break out from the 100-day moving average, then there's a chance that you may see it consolidate a bit, or there may be a bit of days that the market will be red as well. Do note that this is the PSEI, this is the barometer, this is the index. This is basically a market cap weight index with 30 companies reflecting the Philippine market. So it's not going to be as fast as some of the smaller stocks, and it's not going to be like cryptocurrencies as well, but you could expect that there will be hesitation going up if it fails to break out from this 100-day moving average over the short term. Now, that being said, if there's a bullish bright spot into all of this, MACD is showing us a change in direction upward, and it also crossed above the zero line area. For those who attended our Stock Smarts courses, we talked about MACD extensively on how you could actually trade the markets using this, and we do know that if it's above the zero line cross also, it denotes a more bullish undertone. Now, for the short term also, for those who want to at least look at it from a shorter perspective, another resistance that you could peg is around the 7,081 mark. So way before it has a chance to go to 7,505, next resistance to look at is the 7,081 mark. So this is where we are, similar to what I've talked about in the past videos. Nothing has changed in the Philippines. Even though the economy has started to get better, we've started to see things open up, we're still sideways, and it still needs to break out of the 7,505 mark. For those who have been following me for the past decade also, if you remember when we were talking about the all-time high in the Philippines in 2013, it hit 7,400, which is close to where the resistance is also, the main resistance is as well. So that was the highest that the market hit in May 2013. So if you guys have any questions, put it down below. We're gonna talk more about individual stocks also, either from a fundamental or technical analysis standpoint, and I do hope that this is something that helps you and gives you enough insight also on how you go about your investment. So people who follow mutual funds could use the index as a reference point, and people also who trade individual stocks can use that PSEI as a sentiment index also as to how they want to somehow navigate their investment. Join us, Icon 2023, this May 27, similar to what I said at the start of the video, and check out my books and my seminars as well. And if you've made it up until the end, if you have any questions, put it down below. I'll do my best to be able to answer the questions that you sent out. And like, share, subscribe, and smash the bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about investing. So that's it for now. Marvingermo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. God bless you all.